welcome to The Banker. I'm Danielle Myles, Investment Banking and Capital Markets Editor, and I'm joined today by Editor Brian Caplen. We're here to talk about last night's historic upset in the US presidential election, which obviously sees Donald Trump become the next US president. This obviously comes just 4.5 months after the UK had its own surprise referendum result. What are some of the parallels that can be drawn between this and Brexit?
I think it's very interesting. We're definitely in the midst of a big change politically in the Western democracies, and I think it's one of those cases where the media and the commentators are all running to catch up, because mostly the opinion polls have not caught it, and most of the establishment media have not caught it either. Clearly there's a groundswell of opinion out there by a lot of blue-collar workers who feel they've been left behind by globalization, and a general mood of discontent, I would say, where people are saying, you know, there's something wrong with the way the system is functioning, and we want some kind of change. But then, of course, the problem you get into is what kind of change do they want, and what kind of change is going to be delivered. I think that's all very unclear at the moment. And
I guess there's a potentially similar dynamic happening in some EU member states which have their own elections coming up next year.
I think that's exactly right. So, I mean, and what it shows is that almost anything is possible now in electoral terms. So whereas we've always dismissed Le Pen in France as, you know, somebody who could not ever really become president, same with the right-wing parties in the Netherlands. I mean, it's actually a reality that we could see in the European elections in France particularly, I think, you know, some surprises. And that would have very profound implications for the future of the European Union.
Okay. Going back to the US then, so Trump's economic policies were criticised by many for being a little sketchy, I guess, but one of the things he was leaning towards is protectionism in many different ways. What do you think this could mean for international trade ties for the US?
Yeah, I think it's definitely going to be detrimental to trade relationships between US and the emerging markets, right? So I think the Trans-Pacific Partnership, which has not been fully ratified yet, I think that might be renegotiated, and that's in doubt. Whether he may go back and revisit NAFTA, that's quite likely too. I think it would be wrong to conclude that suddenly, you know, US breaks off trading ties and isolates itself completely. But I think that there will be a view from the US that when it agrees these deals, they have to be more beneficial to the US, and that there has to be some safeguards for the people who are being affected negatively, which is manufacturing jobs at the bottom of the earnings scale. I mean, I think ironically it bodes quite well for a UK-US deal, because Trump has said he's pro-Brexit, and Obama came over and said, look, you know, if you dare to vote to leave the European Union, you'll be at the back of the queue. Whereas under Trump, ironically, I think we might be at the front of the queue.
And what about monetary policy? What do you think this could mean for US interest rates, which is obviously an ongoing issue, and also who is at the Federal Reserve that's going to set those rates?
That's right, yeah. So, I mean, Trump was very critical of Janet Yellen. So there's a question mark about whether she would want to stay and serve under Trump. But I think there's another bigger thing at work, which is I think monetary policy has just run out of road. You know, I think it's out of ideas, and it's doing as much damage as it is good. And that's true in the US, under the ECB and the UK, and you're getting political leaders actually criticising it now in a way they weren't in the past. I mean, ironically, it might just be that the inflation and the disruption caused by someone like Trump or Brexit provides the conditions for interest rate rises. But definitely, you know, monetary policy is now going to have to be accompanied, I think, by a more progressive fiscal policy, and there's got to be something new out there. I mean, it's just run out of road as it is.
Brian, thank you very much for your time.